Hi, Tom here. I'm going to be talking about my multitude of multimeters. I have all shapes and sizes. Let's get to it. The Simpson 260 is a real workhorse, dates back many years. This is a Series 6. Each time they do a revision, they increase the series number. The biggest problem with these is the input impedance is very low compared to other modern meters. But they're rugged, and a lot of people swear by them. Electricians use them. It has anywhere from 500 milliamps current, 100 milliamp current, up to 10 amps. Even has a 50 microamp, as much as 10 amps. It'll do 1000 volts AC or DC, and it'll do R times 10,000 down to R times 1. Then we have an early VTVM. This is an Eico VTVM, is model 232. It uses the same switchable probe as the RCA units. Has your AC, DC volts, ohms. Volts is anywhere from 1.5 volt full range to 500 volts. The resistance is R times 1 to R times 100K. These have been around a long time. This is an older version. It uses vacuum tubes. The only thing I don't like about it is the leather strap, which leather straps will break and it will fall and break your meter. Heathkit, of course, also made VTVMs. Again, the Heathkit VTVMs went through quite a few model changes. Pretty much the same range up to 1500 volts, however, and R times 1 megohm. This is a model V6. And not to be outdone, RCA had a Voltohmist WV77E. These are cords that I created. The AC ohms is a direct connection. The DC probe has a 1 meg resistor in it. They use separate banana jacks on the front. This also has R times 1 and 1.5 volts up to 4,000 volts. I'm not sure about the 4,000 thing. This also has 1.5 volts up to 1500 volt, R times 1 up to R times 1 meg. I'll show you on this RCA Voltohmist what I do to all my VTVMs is I add a switching regulator to replace the 1.5 volt battery that is always subject to leakage. So no more tears by using a switching regulator. It's very easy to implement. I just had this diode laying around. It's a big fat diode. I adjust this for, and it's not critical, between about 1.2 to 1.5 volts. And with the switcher, it doesn't load down the transformer even when you're on the R times 1 scale. For those of you who haven't seen inside of one of these, you have resistor network. You have your different adjustments for like AC volts, DC volts. So that's the inner workings of an RCA VTVM. All the other similar VTVMs from Eico or Heathkit are based on a very almost identical circuit. The next step is a dual FET meter. These were made by RadioShack under the Micronta brand. This one has 0.3 volts up to 300 volts. Plus it'll do 1 kilovolt. The R scale is times 1 through 1 meg. DC amps, 100 microamps up through 10 amps. AC volt is 3 volts to 300 and up to 1 kilovolt AC. This was probably one of the last FET voltometers made by RadioShack. Pretty much the same specs as the other one, just a little more contemporary case. Again, it runs off of batteries, and they're very good. I used one like this for many years. Now some will say this looks like a regular RCA Voltohmist VTVM. However, it's not. This master Voltohmist is actually all transistorized. So it will run off of batteries as well as it will run off of AC. I recommend you do not put alkalines in it because it will try to trickle charge your 9-volt batteries when it's powered up by AC. Again, this has R times 1 through 1 meg scale, and it will do up to 400 volts. It will do up to 4,000 volts AC and 500 volts DC, or 500 milliamps. These have a real nice dial. It has a reflective strip in it to prevent parallax, misreading. These are generally quite accurate. This is a WV510A. I do have a senior Voltohmist of the same case design, which those are VTVMs. But this is all solid state. This multimeter was a unique model made by RadioShack. It's an analog meter, however, it's auto-ranging. It is also very accurate. You can allow it to auto-range, or you can choose the range you want it to be in, times 1 through 10k ohms, and it'll do 3 full scale, 3 through 1000 volts AC DC. Also has it'll do 3 amps, not quite as hefty as some of the other meters that will do 10 amps. But it's a really cool meter in that it's analog yet auto-ranging. The LEDs in the center here indicate what range you're on, and then you read it just like you would. It's just like any other analog display. For my digital meter, I've been using this RadioShack unit for quite a few years. It has a serial port. The later ones had Bluetooth, but this was a serial port version. And I used to have software that would read that, and I had the source code for rewriting that software. I just have to find it. But it has quite a few functions here. You know, it has your continuity, has diode check, capacitor, of course your ohms, milliamps, amps, goes down to microamps, DVM. With a thermocouple, it will do temperature, it'll do logic, it'll do frequency up to, I'm not sure what the spec is. You pull these out, and you even get transistor tester. The only thing is these are a little longer than your trinanium pieces, so the other ones won't always work. I'm not sure who to source them from if these ever go bad. This also has a max and minimum. It'll give you pulse width, a delta. You can specify the range or let it auto select. So it's been a very reliable meter, and for a digital meter this is what I use. It also has an auto power off after a certain period of time, although you can override that so it never turns off. So that's my collection of multimeters, voltometers, meters like this. The probe cable is actually shielded, so your hand doesn't affect the readings. Earlier ones like this just have a regular plug-in cable. But remember to use a 1 meg resistor on your DC volts. All other settings use the blue plug, of course your common ground. And again, if you want the high impedance in an analog meter, these RadioShack units, they're dual FET. The circuit is almost like a vacuum tube voltmeter, except it uses field effect transistors. And these have been very reliable for me as well. So that's a little bit of my collection. I hope you enjoyed that.